Let's now take a look at deleting fields from your table. It doesn't happen very often, but there may be instances where you need to remove a field from a table. And when you do this, you must take special care because you run the risk of losing data. So first of all, we've been looking at key fields. So if we start with those, then you'll probably know that if we remove a key field from our table that contains data, it is more than likely you'll end up losing records, because the fields that make up your table key make each record unique. Taking away a field from the key can result in non-unique records. So once the table is adjusted, some records will be deleted. SAP systems are very, very large systems, and tables are used all over the system for various needs. We've already seen how we can use the currency check table to bring up a list of values that we use to enter data into our employees table. Well, if that table was removed, then our drop-down would no longer work, and it would highly likely inactivate our table, because our table uses components of that currency table. So whenever you're working with a table and you're thinking of deleting fields, keep in mind, ask yourself some questions. Is this table being used as a check table for some other tables in the system? And if so, how is it going to affect those tables? Now, if you do try and delete fields from your table that are being used elsewhere in the system, your SAP system itself should stop you from actually making the deletion, or at least give you a warning. But don't rely on that. Always check yourself. And one final thing to remember is that if you delete fields from your table, you need to remember to convert your table using the SE14 transaction, the table utilities, so that the data is adjusted and the table is made active. So let's go through an example of how we delete fields, and we will use the zEmployees2 table. So I will go into change mode, and first of all I'll just create a field. I will insert a field before this include, and let's call it zAwesome. Don't worry, we're going to delete this one. And let's just use a data element that we've already set up. Let's use zTitle and press enter. You can see it brings across the title attributes. We'll activate the table. And then we'll go and enter some data. So let's start in the 10 number range. And I'm just going to key in any old gibberish here. And click save. So I'll come back out, then we'll just have a view of the table to make sure the record has been added successfully. And there it is, and we can see the data we entered into the record. That looks fine. So now to delete this, we'll click on the field, click the delete button, and then we will activate the table. So as you can see, the system is displaying an error, which we'll take a look at. It's telling us the table was not activated because we deleted the zAwesome field. So as I said before, we have to go to transaction SE14 and adjust the table, and this will have the result of losing some data. So utilities, database utilities. We're going to process it in the foreground, and we will activate and adjust the database. That's done successfully. So back to the table, we will view our data. There's our record. And as we can see, our field has been removed and we have lost that data from that field. Now, let's see what happens when we delete a key field. And to do this, I'm going to duplicate this table just so that we don't affect the current one and don't lose all the records. So I will create a new table with the suffix of 3. It's new, so we need to activate it. And the table should be empty, which it is. You can also press this number of entries and it'll bring up a dialog box telling you there's no records. So let's go and enter some records. Oh, actually, I'm jumping the gun. Let's go add another field to the table key. So what we will do is make surname a key field. Go into change mode, make it a key field, activate, and remember we've got no records in the table now, so it's activated successfully with no problem. And now we will go and enter some records. Click save. And now, just to do this nice and quick, I'm just going to overwrite, keeping the same sort of data here. We will keep the surname Smith. I'll tell you what, let's do it this way. We will keep employee number 1, but because surname is part of the key, all we need to do is make this unique for us to have a unique record in the table. So we will create Smith 2 and leave everything else as it is. Then a new employee number with a 2 suffix, with the surname of Andrews, save. We'll make this, oops, sorry, I've done the same thing. We'll leave it as 2 and we'll do Andrews 2. Slightly different with a dash. And click save. So I'll come back out, then we'll view the data. So we have 4 records, Smith, Smith 2, Andrews, Andrews dash 2. And we can see our Smiths have the same employee number, and so do the Andrews. So now what we will do is remove the surname field, and we will see what effects that has on our data. Because by removing the surname field, the only unique key we have is the client and employee number, and that would leave us with duplicate records, which is not allowed. So back to the table. Let's delete the field. I will activate it and we should be shown some errors. And we can see the system is just telling us the table is not active because we have removed the surname field. So we will go to the utilities. And choose to activate and adjust the database. That's been done successfully. So now what do you think the effect is on the table? Let's have a look. So there you go. You can see The system has actually removed 2 of the records because we would have been left with duplicate records according to the table key. And the system has kept the first record that it encountered. The second record has been deleted. So just to summarize, be very, very careful when deleting fields, both because you can lose data and your table and fields could be used as reference fields and check tables for other database tables in your SAP system.